Right, let's crack on, take it apart and put it all back together, but this time with glue. So we're unassembled now, we're going to reassemble now. The only difference being is I'm going to get the kite held. I'll line everything up, I'll pop a screw up in there, we'll have glue in the housing, and that's the only way then we can actually get that in at that time. Then I'll slide this string over it into the dowel positions, and that's the worst and the hardest bit here. Once we got that done, it's just a matter of going around treads and risers, and that's the best part. I love that bit as well. And then once we've got it to that point and we're happy with all the levels and the datums and it's not twisted at all, then we'll go around putting our fixings in the strings to actually secure it back to the walls. But first I'm going to clean off the dowels from the previous newel posts. Get this done now because as soon as I put the other newel post in, it just becomes a little bit more difficult. So we're basically going to retrace our steps. Frank's kindly here holding the camera, and 24 hours has passed because we came in to start this and it was the day of my radio, so I could only do so much time, and then I'm off to London to do the carpentry show. And I know a lot of you listen to the carpentry show now, it's which I really appreciate. It's a podcast as well, so if you can't take it on the radio because you're working or whatever and you're not allowed to, then maybe listen in to the podcast, available wherever you get them online. It's just simply called The Carpentry Show. Right, I'm just going to put this little string in first. We've had it in once, of course. We know it's going to, go the right way. You can get this the wrong way up, by the way, and you'd know because you've got the wedge side up. So that's the first thing to check. And we're just going to slot that in. You always want to make sure before you start trying to dowel that you've got the joint lined up. So not like that, not like that. You're there, all right? And that's key because once you're there, you know you're not going to be wrong. So then we'll get the dowels ready. I've made all the ends up. Got a pair of dowels. Again, we'll put a little bit of glue from the pot in the hole. So the name of the game is no pencil marks and no glue everywhere. A bit of glue in the hole. Pop the dowel in, give it a little twist. So the glue's not going to run out. Obviously if this was a full flight or a larger string it would hold itself, but it's not going to in this case. That's why I put it in my hand. Right way up. We're going to glue that in here. We're going to line up the back side there. And then we're going to tap these home. And here. Now first of all, before I nail them or knock them right home, just going to come around the back and make sure everything's where it should be there, of course. Shoulders are dead tight, so I know it's absolutely perfect. And then we're just going to carry on, just giving these a little tap. You can use a mallet if you've got a mallet. You need quite a heavy mallet. And then remember the sound we want is that kind of dead sound when it hits the back of the hole on the other side of the mortise. There, so that's it. We'll leave that like that now. Now this is the point where I'm going to be putting this newel and this kite in together. So it'll be the first time I've done it. Now the kite itself I want to sort of hold it roughly in position and put the newel in at the same time. It's a little bit like what I did up there. So for now I'm just going to get one of my wedges that comes with the stairs and we'll pop this in. And we're just going to ease the wedge underneath it. We'll probably get one at this end and we're going to get one a bit further down here. And then we can leave it basically swinging there. Now I'm going to get this tall newel, and the idea is I'm going to rotate it in. So I'm going to sort of start like this effectively. This is the tricky bit. If I take it around this side there, and we're going to rotate it in. We're going to pull that up to roughly where it wants to be. Put that in line with the other newel. Get that somewhere near held, and start lining up the mortise. So I've pulled that roughly where it wants to be. So you can see it will want to go. So this is the way we're going to assemble it. So I know it's going to go there. I'm going to get myself my glue, put it all in now, and redo that. So I'm just going to tap that back out, backtrack basically, leave that wedge there. There we go. And glue up the mortise as before. It's so less messy when you use a brush. And this is a water-based glue like most PVA-based glues. Some have a resin in. But the good thing about it is, I know that this tenon and this mortise are quite loose, so it's not going to go off too quick. Put a bit of glue in that housing as well. So quickly whiz out that wedge. This one's not actually doing anything, it's well battered, so whiz out that wedge there. There we go. It's only really the top edge that we can get this, because we want to glue those wedges in as well, so we want to be here. There we go. So I'm going to redo that. I might just lose that, and then I can put another wedge in as well. Now I can use a couple of wedges. It'll be a little bit more secure. Again, this is just until we've got the newel in. There we go. And of course, we're looking at this edge with that edge. Got a little shim here, which we go behind there with, for good measure. So I'm not hitting against nothing. Right, now we're going to go for this. Spot of glue in its housing. Albeit it's a token gesture. Then we're going to go for it again. There we go. Every time you put it back together, you can you've got an idea of what you're doing. And now it's just a matter of easing it together. It's all going to go together nicely. I'm going to pull this up. Now I promise you, this is one of the only ways of getting these in. If you don't try and get them in now, you virtually can't, unless you house the back right out and push them in, which I don't particularly like to do. And then I'm just going to bring everything together. You can see it's already gone really quite nicely there. And again, check that all of my bits and pieces are in the right places. So I want to make sure that this tread here is in line as well. So I'm going to put a little shim underneath that newel, tiny weeny one. Just give it a little haul up. There we go. And that will just enable me, there you go, in line now. Again, let's get some dowels in. Here we go. Wiggle. Wiggle, lovely. And the little tap again. Bit of support. Happy because I've got everything roughly where it needs to be. Here, here. Now what I need to do is actually get this wall string in. It's really quite important. This is the hardest bit of the job because I'm going to slide everything in. I've got to slide that up there. I've got to slide this into here. I've got to have glue on it all. I know I've had it together. I've made myself a little block of oak, which I'm going to fix on. I'll turn this on its wall string. And I've got a small piece of oak, which I've got in my pocket. There you go. And all I'm going to do with that is screw it onto this shoulder underneath where it's never going to be seen, and that will enable me to actually pull the stairs in. Okay, so we'll put it on there. This is where it's got to go to. We'll leave it just off the line, and that will pull us in. That will actually pull us in. So I'll get that screwed on. I'm not gluing this, I'm literally going to put it on, and I can always take it off afterwards. And just ease that up a bit so I'm just off the bottom there. I'm just showing the line, giving myself enough to clamp up. And I'll screw that in. That'll bite that nicely. Same at the bottom. Now if this wasn't an engineered staircase, if this was, these are engineered, okay, they're really stable, they're made of lots of parts, the strings, the treads. If it wasn't, and this was solid oak, I'd never screw that close to the end, because the grain, you can see how straight it is. As soon as you put a screw in there, it'll just break it off, because it's what we call short grain there. You could literally break that off. But because these are made, and they're engineered, finger jointed, laminated, veneered, it's much more solid, it's much more forgiving. So things that I would never do before, when I was an old time chippy, I wouldn't do, I wouldn't do those things in the olden days, put it that way. Right, so now I'm in a position to get some glue in here, of course, because we've got to glue this, we've got the tread in position. I'm not going to go with the glue right to the end, because as we slide it in, it will push all the glue along effectively, so we just want to be somewhere there. We want to glue on the end of these tenons, these little dowels, of course. I mean, it's plenty strong enough without glue, to be honest. And if you ever feel a bit nervous, you know, don't worry too much. Just try and get the thing together. It's going to have plenty of mechanical fixings to hold it. Then we'll put a bit in the housing on the other side here. Be a bit more generous here. A bit up there. A bit here. There we go. And then we've got to do this here. As we're putting this tenon in here. It's all a bit stressy, this, no matter how many times you do it, even as a fully sort of like, experienced professional, still creates anxiety. You're still thinking, oh no, is it going to go together like we had it dry? Of course it is. You just got to trust in the process. Now you remember these battens we've got here. I'm just going to temporarily put one in here, just so it holds it roughly true, okay? So I'm just going to pop that in there and put a clamp on. Here, in fact I'll turn it so it's not in my way. This one needs a little bit of oil, or throwing away, one of the two. Let me just try and, there we go. So I'm going to face this inwards out of my way. There we go. The section in between is the gap we need, and the bit on the back that's screwed to it is just to keep them hopefully somewhere near true this way. What do you think, Frank, so far?
It's good. It's like a puzzle.
It is, yeah, it's exactly that. Right, okay, so let's go for this now. We've got a bit of glue everywhere. Might have a little bit more glue. A little bit more glue in there. While it's wet, it will help it slide home. There we go. That's good. Okay, so I'm not going to put the bottom newel on yet. I'm going to just get this up into position. That kite here is going to help me. It's going to help me by supporting it and taking it over. Now I'm trapped. I'm going to come round here. You don't want to let these things crank themselves. There we go. You see I had a hand to it most of the time. Tenon's gone in. We're looking good there. The tread's actually going to help us. So we're going to bring everything up now. There we go. Right. So I'm just easing that in there. This side it's got a shoulder and the other side is a barefaced tenon, and we're just going to ease that up. I'm going to get it to a point where I'm going to concentrate on the wall string now, trying to get those dowels in. I could probably tap this step and it will find its way in. I can feel it wants to go. What does it look like, Frank?
Yeah, getting there. Beautiful.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Now I'm going to bring this, I think I'll get one of my screws in that I've got from underneath. These are ones that are going to be my second pair of hands and hold it on the little block. So I'm going to come underneath. Okay, and I'm just going to go here through this hole into that string. And you'll just see it clamp itself up. You can see I've got a nice gap there. The idea is it will just pull towards it. There we go. So now that's got that. So I'm really chuffed about that. Here we go, shaking like crazy. That's got that now, I'm well chuffed with that. We've also got a nice connection here. This is all in line underneath, so the riser, the housing, everything's sitting pretty now. I could probably tap this wedge up as well, because our tread is really nice there and it's really nice here. So I'm super pleased with that. In fact, I might just get a screw in to there. I'll pilot a screw in. So what I'm using is, we've got a little shim here, which if we want to go behind, we can give ourselves some support. But our battens that support it are really helpful for me because I can push, pull, push, pull. But the key result is keeping this tread tight in the housing, both sides. You know you're square. And to keep that there, I'm just going to put a screw up on the angle here, out of the way of the back of this wedge, and out of the way of this wedge. And similar on the other side here, because I'm really tight there and I'm tight at the back. Do that one up here. And we're just going to pinch those with a couple of screws just to hold it here. That's it. And here. And that's good. And we can see now everything's running where it should run. We can relax a bit, to be fair. I could probably lose that for a minute. Right, the next job is dowel up this one. A bit more tricky, this one, because getting or giving these a good hit there is going to be more difficult. So I'm going to pull this up with the mallet here. Lovely. There. Check the housing. It's governed by this, so we know it's going to be okay. Bit of glue. Down. You remember I made these like a pencil. Glue. Twist down. Now this is a bit more difficult. I've got a 32-ounce hammer, always have had. And it's great because this will even do the job for me this way. A little at a time. Shoulders are pulling up. Still got a bit of play. Same again. And there we have it. So, before I get carried away putting the rest of it together, I'm just going to make sure any glue that's run out, and a tiny bit of dust and glue there, just going to clean that off now. Sharp chisel, using it like a cabinet scraper. We've got the joints all up, we've got the crucial kite winder in, and now we can have a relax, coffee, and then we'll just put the rest of it together. We're at a really good stage because we've got all of this assembled, glued, and now it's a matter of putting the rest of the treads and risers in. You can hear other work going on in the background at this busy site. And most of these, apart from these kites that we were putting in conjunction with the newels, we sort of married them up like that, all the rest of the stuff, if I just pull out these dry fitted wedges, all the rest of the treads can slot in from the back. So I'm gonna basically take them all out, and they're in numerical order, of course. I've got all of the risers all the way around in numerical order. Now, if you're thinking to yourself, or if you've got one of these staircases and it's been made by CNC, effectively computer, and you're putting it together and you're thinking, are the risers too long? They fit, technically fit, but what I like to do is just hone and fine tune them. For example, this riser here, I've just beveled it off, so when it goes into its housing, for example, it will give us the exact angle. This one's here, because you've got a square shoulder there, which is done by the CNC, and what I've got here is a riser that I've actually fashioned off to the angle to give you a much better fit. So I do myself just tweak them slightly, okay? And also, where the CNC does its milling, it left on a section of oak here, which was facing out that way, which you can't physically get this riser into it. So I've basically extended that by cutting it off carefully, straight down here, enables me to get the riser into the back. So the next job will be take out these treads that I've just got literally balancing in situ here, and go through the stair. This one's already fixed, and then go through the stair, fixing in the treads, the risers, the glue, gluing the wedges in, and we're going to go and do all of that. So we're going to glue the housings, put the treads in, we're going to glue the back of the tread below here in every time. We're going to get the riser pushed right up, screwed in through the back. Then once we've got the riser in, it's all held, we can put the wedges in. So on the string side there's a wedge mark, and of course here underneath the treads we're going to glue the wedges in as well. There are a couple of points where you'll find I'm struggling to get behind to knock the wedge. So sometimes I use my claw backwards and I can, or the head of the hammer backwards and put it in. But the name of the game is keep them nice and true and tight there. If you've got a gap, which you may have, between the string and the wall, and you've got a large bit of string, make sure you just put some sort of shim there to stop it from flexing, because as you're banging the wedges, you might be banging the string away and ending up with a gap there. So you don't want to do that. So let's start. Let's get us, I've got my wedges here ready as well. I've got a pot of glue, and same difference, nice bit of glue in there, and we're going to go for it. So I'll do one fully and then we'll just get through the rest of them. So again, now a load of glue in here, all the way through there we go, on that shoulder up there as well. Not too much, because we don't want it to come through, because this is oak and it's going to be eventually oiled, polished, finished, and we want to make sure it's not going to be able to sort of not take the finish. Where the riser is going to go, back of the tread, where the riser is going to screw, nice. Amazing how much glue you can get into a staircase. There we go. This little groove here for the back of the face of the riser. There we go. There. It's got a bit of clearance here, so you only need it on the one side. And then we're going to get in here as well. Lovely. Then it's just a matter of one at a time, get it all back together. Let me start with the right one. Where are we? Where is this one? This is an interesting tread, because although it's a winder, stair box allowed for our headroom over the top by adjusting this winder so it actually tapers back, and that gave us the headroom we needed. So it's a matter of putting that into the glue there. I'm going to get a couple of wedges and I'm going to glue the top against the tread, and the rebate's already done. So I'm just going to put a bit of glue on the top of that and slot that into here where it goes. And what I want to do is not actually bang it home yet. There's another wedge here. Sometimes they're single wedges and sometimes they're not. So there we go. So now all I'm going to do is get my hammer, mallet, whatever you're using, and a block if we need it. I'm going to watch the front of the nosing into the housing. I want it to be as tight as possible. And I'm just going to take that tap. And sometimes you might want to block, because you can get your hammer or your mallet out here instead of trying to run it against there, and just give it a little tap. And then bring the back one in, watching the shoulders. That is good. And then of course on this side there isn't a wedge. Now it's the time for the riser to go in. So we want to make sure that everything's nice and true. I've got the risers in number order. They've already got a little pilot hole here. Now we're screwing into oak, so you've got to make sure your screws are a decent-ish screw. And this is the riser, it slots in and slots back. That's where we're at there. What I'm going to do first is push it up as hard as possible from underneath and put my middle screw in. I've got a pilot bit. I want to just pile it into the oak here. I'm just going to screw that centre one in for now, nice and tight into the back of the tread. Here we go. Then I'm going to put my wedge in on the back of the riser as well. That'll pull everything up nice and tight. Give it a nice bit of glue in there. There we go. The brush is perfect for that. Give that a little wallop in as well. And at that point I'm going to tap this end of the riser, make sure it's right up into that groove there. And then we can pilot that and fix it up. And fix it up. That's good. So that is a step done in situ. And that's the process I'm going to follow. But be mindful, you know, just keep an eye on everything. A little bit of glue there, not enough to worry about at this point. I could easily take that off with a little chisel now. Just ease that out there. There we go. Because it's easier to do it now while I can see it still, because it will probably dry clear. So that's the process, and everything looks really nice. It looks like a piece of joinery. Now I'm going to go around all the way through and basically get it done, get it assembled. Right, let's get the next riser in. One thing I have got to do is just shorten this wedge that I've put in here. Sometimes you can get them together and wedge that at the same time. But now I'm just going to take that off with my multi-tool in situ. Just enable me to get that riser in, and then we're going to get some glue and go for it. The oak really absorbs it well quick. You could always water it down a hair. Not a lot, but just a little bit, because obviously the formula's worked out not to be watered down for its maximum strength. But if you wanted to put a tiny bit of water in it, especially when it's warm like this, It wouldn't hurt a little bit. Back of here. So traditionally we don't glue the riser up into the tread. The glue blocks do all the work of connecting it together, allowing for everything to move around a little bit. There we go, just take some fat from the top so it don't spurt up. Okay, the next riser, there's the adjustment. I've just put a little bevel so it hits that nice and tight. Then it's just a matter of putting it up into the groove, getting the right way round, and gently easing it home. How's it look from your side, Frank?
Beautiful.
Yeah?
Yep.
Good on that shoulder there?
Perfect.
Good on that one over there?
Yep.
So I'll get my middle screw in again, pushing up as hard as I can. That's good, and that holds everything, and then I'll get the wedge in where I can get a wedge, which is basically over the other side there. And now these wedges, you can see that it's tapered, this tread here. So if you taper off that, it wants to just fall out basically. So what you've got to do, and I would actually be more happy to adjust that wedge slightly, make it a little bit thinner, but they all seem to come in the same size. In fact, let me do that. I'm just going to reduce that down slightly to there, and then that's it, and give that a little tap as well. Oh, that is great. And then once you're in line of that, it's done. This side here, all kinds of different things you can do. I like to pilot and put a screw in here. Alternatively, you can make up, and sometimes I'll do this, make up a block of oak and then screw it all the way through, which is really nice because it gives that tread a little bit more support, not just relying on the riser. And that is a nice finish. But for now, I'm going to pilot and screw into the newel, but not, it doesn't need to be a big screw. And that will just pull everything up tight until we're happy and it's gone off. So I'm going to carry on like that until I'm at the top. We're doing all right then, Frank?
Yeah, we're getting there, slowly but surely.
And you're just sorting through your plywood that you sort of pre-cut yesterday?
Yeah, making sure I got all the right ones ready.
Brilliant.
Just templated all them.
Yeah.
And then it's going to slide on nicely to protect all the stairs, make sure they don't get damaged.
It'll just protect it as people go up and down. And so I'm going to get the last of these treads in here, which is that. Put the last two risers at the top. I'm going to glue in the bottom riser and then put in that curtail tread dry. So we'll fix it in, but it'll allow Callum to get it out to put his floor covering on, which is really thin. It's like an LV, we'll call it luxury vinyl tile. Yeah. So that's right. We'll just slot that in dry. Yeah, good stuff. These two risers, and then we're on the little bottom bit then, and we're looking pretty sharp, aren't we? What's the difference between a staircase here and a staircase made in Australia? Is there a key difference, or?
I personally haven't seen them be pre-CNC'd and routed like this, but I'm sure there's people that do it.
Yeah, so what would happen over there? Just Chippy would make it, would he?
Yeah, there's obviously stair-specific people.
Joiners.
That specialise in it.
Yeah, okay.
We worked with a really good one on the last project who did all this. But Yeah, there's a lot more steel stringers going up now that we use. We do a lot of concrete steps too.
Yeah, because you build a lot of contemporary, don't you? Which is a lot of people would go for a steel stair clad in lovely timber or something like that.
Yeah, but it's always good to see stuff like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, a bit of an art to it, that's for sure.
That's it. Perfect there. Good there. Let's get our wedges in. Okay, that's that one. And when I knock these up, I've sort of spoken about this before, but I'm basically making sure that we get far enough where we need it to be. Making sure it all lines up. Pop that up there. Pop a little wedge in. Screw it up. Great. Right. Call it a day.
Sounds good.